Hi everyone and welcome to the Sporting Life and Time Farm preview show for Saturday, October the 29th. It's Charlie Hall Chase Day at Wetherby. I'm Ben Linfoot, delighted to be joined by Matt Brocklebank and Daryl Jacob. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Two-time Charlie Hall Chase winner.
Yeah, they were good days actually, yeah. Bristol was very, very good that day. He beat some very, very good horses, and obviously we were a little bit fortunate last year in Fusler Raffles. You
said you always had it in the can earlier on when we were talking in the
well, I did
upstairs.
Really, yeah, I did really. Come on, let's be honest with you, I did.
Yeah, 15 lengths clear, wasn't he, Shamblu, and unfortunately exiting. But good for you, good for Fusler Raffles, good to get a second Charlie Hall Chase on the board. And you're not riding in this year's renewal, but it looks a good version of the race, doesn't it? With two of last year's top novices in there, Brave Man's Game and Hall Chase and Ascot.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 7 runners in it, but it's a good quality field. You know, some of the best novices from last year running in the race. It's nice to see the race get back to having some real quality in the race, and it's going to be a great watch.
It's round 3 of offensive, Matt, between Hall Chase and Ascot and Brave Man's Game. I think it's round 4 if you include the hurdles run, but we'll go with the fences. 1-1 between the two. And I think if we look at the Time Farm ratings graphic on the screen there, you'll see that Hall Chase and Ascot is top rated for this race. Is he the one to beat?
Yeah, I don't think it's just the rating either, is it? I think after just a bunch of starts over fences, it's really significant that he's still got that small P for potential improvement, and he is the only one in here with that. He's just one of those horses. I think if you were to back one of these horses now, if you had to play your hand early and back one for the Cheltenham Gold Cup, then it would surely be a Hall Chase and Ascot. Thankfully, we don't have to play early. No one's got a gun to our heads at this stage of the season, and we've been here before with so many top horses. They look so smart as a novice, and like I said, they've only had a handful of runs and they've already got ratings of 161. I think they've got to come out now and prove that they are up to those marks against some really solid established horses, the likes of Eldorado, Allen, even Sam Brown, Secret Investor first time back. They're good horses. If they bring their A game, they are good horses. Now, what you would say about this race, the nature of the track and maybe the slightly quicker ground than you'd sometimes get in the autumn, is that this race does seem to be suiting Brave Man's Game down to the ground. He's had another wind up. First time out has been a good time to catch him. He's tailed off in the spring, hasn't he? We mentioned earlier when he's been to kind of, you know, he's been thrown in the deep end at Cheltenham over hurdles, and he got beaten that day, and obviously he missed Cheltenham this spring, went to Aintree and was disappointing. So he's got to bounce back again, but this time of year has been a good time to be with Brave Man's Game.
Yeah, it's interesting sort of deciding who's going to be on the top of the game so early in the season, isn't it? Because as we saw last season with Hall Chase and Ascot at Aintree, he really got his act together the more that the season went on, with his jumping particularly, because you look at him at Christmas and before that, he was a bit sketchy at 1 or 2 of his obstacles, wasn't he? But at Aintree, he put it all together here.
Yeah, he's just very, very exciting, isn't he? You're not totally sure what he's going to do, because he's just been a bit leery, hasn't he? He's just so naturally talented and gifted, and his jumping is it's bold, isn't it? You would say that. Whereas Brave Man's Game, when he's on his best, he's so quick and accurate, and maybe that's why Wetherby is going to suit Brave Man's Game more. Obviously, Hall Chase and Ascot has been to Wetherby before. He's won there before. He's won on decent ground as well, so I'm not going to completely rule him out on account of slightly quicker ground, but I just think they might just be working away with Hall Chase and Ascot. He's probably more the longer term project. I'd be looking more later in the season with him. He's a huge talent, but I'd love to see him go well here, but I'm against him at the price. It's perfectly honest, Scoop.
Daryl, earlier in the week, Hall Chase and Ascot and Brave Man's Game were joint favourites. Now the market has spoken in the favour of Brave Man's Game. He's clear favourite now, Paul Nicholls' horse. Do you think the market's got that right? Is he the one that punters should be latching onto in this race?
Do you know what? It's a really interesting race, and actually it's going to be very, very interesting how tactics are going to pay out as well, because you have Eldorado Allen, he likes to go forward. Painted Dream likes to go forward. Hall Chase and Ascot likes to go forward. Secret Investor likes to go forward. So there's plenty of pace in the race, and I think, to be honest with you, I think this race is going to come down to a lot. It's going to come down to rhythm. Who's going to find the rhythm? Because, you know, Wetherby, if it's going to be, you know, nice, good ground, which we think it will be on Saturday, you know, they can go a gallop around Wetherby and they can keep going, and whichever horse finds its rhythm will be very, very key. And you know, Ahoy Senior, I think the track suits him as well. He goes a little bit left. He's a good traveller, so you'd like to think he could be able to travel with the pace that is going. Eldorado Allen is, again, Tizards. This is going to be his Gold Cup, if I'm being honest with you, and he's going to be tailor-made for this. He likes to go forward. Very, very good, consistent, solid type of horse.
Well, talking of rhythm, Daryl, Brave Man's Game, he got into a rhythm at Kempton at Christmas on Boxing Day here. It was a brilliant jumping performance, and that's really what helps him get the better of a High Senior this day.
Yeah, but Ahoy Senior was making, Brave Man's Game, he got into a lovely rhythm around here, and definitely a flat track suits him well. But I think, to be honest with you, I think Paul has placed that horse incredibly well the whole way through his career. And he looks, to be fair, on his day like Kempton here this day, he looked very, very exciting. But, Ahoy Senior just kept making the odd silly mistakes going right-handed. I think he's a better horse going left-handed than right-handed. It'll be interesting to see how the season pans out, but I just don't think going right-handed, a flat track suited Ahoy Senior that day, and that's why he kept making little silly mistakes, and that made Brave Man's Game look better than what maybe the true running of the race was, if that makes sense. So it'll be a very, very interesting race tomorrow. So
let's just wrap up the Charlie Hall. Daryl, if you could sit on one in the race, who would it be?
I think I'd sit on Colin Tizard's horse, Eldorado Allen.
Okay, and Matt, anything else to mention, and have you got a selection in the race?
Well, you mentioned Secret Investor. I think he's got to be worth a mention. He's had a long time off, 600 and odd days, but this horse going first time out fresh, of a break of kind of 50 days or more, it's just a bunch of 2s and 1s. He really is very, very effective first time back. He's been here before, hasn't he? He beat another higher profile stablemate, Clandazobo, in the Denman Chase, another grade 2, and he was, again, very well placed that day because he was getting weight from a higher rated stablemate. The same's happening here on Saturday. Everyone's looking one way. Nichols might just have this horse more primed first time out before the ground really goes. He doesn't cope with soft winter ground, so I thought, again, with Bryony Frost, I suspect she will try and grab the bull by the horns here. If the horse is fit enough, I think he could take a bit of pegging back into that rhythm. Secret Investor is a big price. Okay, Secret Investor potentially for Matt in the Charlie Hall Chase. Daryl, you're not riding in the Charlie Hall this weekend, but you are riding Good Boy Bobby at Ascot. How's he doing? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. He had a great year last year. He won at Wetherby last year, didn't he? Nice start to the season. He obviously didn't get the trip in the Grand National towards the end of it, but he's in really, really good form at home. We're very, very happy with him, and
we can see him.
We're looking forward
winning
to him
here at Wetherby on Boxing Day when he was given a great ride by Sam Twiston Davis.
Actually, that was me. I was very, very good on him this day. I thought I was at my strongest, really. I pinged the last and watched this all action the whole way up to the running.
It doesn't look like Daryl Jacob, but it certainly looks like Good Boy Bobby.
Very game, isn't he, this horse?
Yeah, he's a very, very game horse. He doesn't know when he's beaten. He tries very, very hard, and he's just a very, very lovable horse that gives you everything.
Okay, so look forward to him on Saturday, but we're just going to have a quick little segment here on Daryl's horses to follow for the season. You've picked out 2 or 3 young horses for us. So the first one was Sergeant, you're going to have to remind me, Sergeant Wilson.
Sergeant Wilson. Yeah, he had a little bit of a mishap at Bangor on Monday, but I've schooled him since, actually schooled him yesterday, and he jumped very, very well. Look, we're really excited about him. He won a bumper by 20 lengths down at Taunton. The time was good on soft ground. He got loose beforehand. That was very, very an exciting run. So we're looking forward to him. Touchwood, he is a nice jumper. He just had a little bit of a mishap at Bangor on Monday, but we're looking forward to getting him out soon.
So keep the faith with Sergeant Wilson. One at a big price in the Triumph Hurdle betting is Nuzret for Joseph O'Brien. Now, you quite like this horse?
Yeah, looking forward to see him. His school and all that has been really nicely at Joseph's. Won really nicely in a really competitive race at the Curragh during the summer. And I think he just likes jumping. He's a nice, fine, big 3-year-old. And yeah, I just like his presence. I like the way he schools. I like quite a lot of things about him, and he's clearly got an engine to go with him. So he could be very, very exciting as the year goes along.
And Simon and Isaac, they often have a good 4-year-old to go to war with in the spring, don't they? Could this potentially be the one?
Yeah, potentially. So, like you say, it's all of his homework and all that has been good at home, and every time I've sat on him, he's impressed me. And like you say, I'm looking forward to seeing him on a race track now.
And last but not least, Matata.
Yeah, Matata was a lot better than I thought he was going to be at faking him. He's been a bit of a tearaway since we got him, but he was a lot better on the race course now than I thought he was going to be. He won nicely that day. He's a big, strong horse that I think with racing and with time he's going to settle more and more into the job. And like you say, he's got the engine there. He jumps very, very nicely, and he could be really exciting, especially whenever he goes over fences and next year or the year afterwards. But he's definitely got the ability to win a few more races before the season's finished.
Great stuff. Nusret, Matata and Sergeant Wilson from Daryl to get in your trackers. We're just going to finish with our best bets for the weekend. Matt, where's yours?
Mine is at Wetherby in the 3:30, the Bet365 hurdle, the former West Yorkshire hurdle. I think I'm going with it again. I'm going for a Paul Nicholls horse first time out. I think it could be a really good weekend for the champion trainer, and it's 3 under through 5. A lot of people expecting this horse to be heading towards the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury next month. I suspect that probably is the plan, but it doesn't mean he can't nick this race en route. I think Nicholls did it previously with Tidal Bay, who won here before finishing second in the big one at Newbury. This horse clearly not quite in that sort of calibre, but it's easy to forget he was a very, very effective hurdler before he went over fences, and he was well placed to win a bunch of races as a novice chaser last season. I think he's well placed here, getting weight from Sporting John, who I'm happy to take on first time back.
3 under through 5 for Matt in the West Yorkshire hurdle at Wetherby. My best bet is Gumball in the 240 Ascot. I think he's well handicapped now over fences and had a nice spin on the flat at Ascot for Fergal O'Brien not long ago, so he looks primed and ready back over fences. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend.